welcome from our organization, the National Network on Environments and Women's Health, which is a research center at York University. I want to thank particularly the CEW for all the support that National has given us through Sari's wonderful leadership, and obviously the local here who provided the space and been extremely helpful and couldn't have asked for better. We also have to thank our funders, Health Canada, who provide funding for our work and for folks being here at the tent, the hotel, and food rates and all that kind of stuff. We don't know how much longer we have that funding, but for now we're going to take full advantage of it. For those of you who came to the film last night, I think that sort of started to set the tone a bit for some of the things we're talking about today. Today isn't about the Pink Ribbon campaign, but there's certainly a lot of tentacles out into that world. But one thing that I heard yesterday from one of the women who works in the plastics factory here, and I won't name her because I don't want to embarrass her, but she said, you know, when you start working in these environments and you're young, often you don't know, and you think it's not going to affect you. You think, you know, if I get my hands stuck in that stuff, or I stay too long in the paint area, or whatever, or I do something faster because it's going to get me out sooner, but in fact I've exposed myself to even more of the stuff that we now know is problematic. You don't know. You're young. You think you're invincible. And one of the things that we've worked hard at the National Network on Environments and Women's Health is to try and move away from that guilt that so many women feel. It certainly came out in the film last night, that it was something they did wrong. You know, I was exposed to these chemicals, or I smoked that cigarette, or I didn't exercise, or whatever, when in fact, the onus does not lie so much with us as individuals as it lies with the people who make the decisions about how the workplace gets regulated, how the chemicals that are going into the plastics factories are let in there in the first place. We live in a democratic society that elects public officials to regulate these things that people are being exposed to and are getting horrible diseases from. So we need to stop the guilt. We need to stop the self-blaming that it was something I did wrong because I worked in this environment. We need to put the onus on provincial regulators who oversee occupational health and safety. We need to put the onus on federal regulators who are supposed to be not allowing dangerous chemicals to get into the workplace in the first place, and have fallen very short on that count. So I wanted to set that out. That's where we come from at NNEWH. Dana Scott here is director of the center at York. And we feel very strongly about that point, that we need to put the onus where the onus should be. We live in a democracy that elects public officials that are supposed to be responsible for this stuff. And we have faith in them, and they've let us down. So today is about looking at what the problem is in the morning. That's primarily what the morning is going to be about. And in the afternoon, moving to what some solutions might be. Because there are some good news stories out there that we need to hear about. We need to figure out how we can make it work in Canada, in Windsor, and move forward. A couple of housekeeping things. There are washrooms just down the hall immediately to the right. If for some reason we should need to evacuate, there's an exit right out here, and then flight attendant. And then further down the hall, there's another one as well.
And fasten your seatbelts.
And fasten seatbelts. We'll be in this area mostly today. It is, you know, if you need to go out and just get some air, feel free to do so. We will have breaks. So just to run you through what today's going to shape up to. We have a couple of speakers before a break, then a break, then another couple of speakers, and lunch. And then we'll come back for another set of speakers. And then we'll move into breakout groups, where we hope to have smaller groups talking about some of the sort of key thematic things happening today. If you could, during one of the breaks, if you haven't already, sign up on the sheets in the other room for the breakout group, so that we can have a sense if there's like 30 people going to one breakout group and 2 in another, where we might have to do some rejigging and ask people if they could move to their second choice. So if you could do that, so we have a sense of where clearly people don't want to go to the one I'm doing. So anyway, And then we'll come back in here for a final wrap-up and reporting back from what we talked about in the breakout group, and hopefully have all the solutions and change the world. So our first speaker, and we're running a little bit behind, so we are going to be, Sarah and I are going to be mean taskmasters, and we're going to be holding up minute signs to the speakers. We have some amazing people with us today who are going to be talking about various aspects of this issue. When we first started planning this workshop many months ago, we just knew Karen Messing was the person we had to ask to give the overview. Karen is, I guess, kind of the doyenne of women's place in occupational health and safety, and in raising awareness about how women have not been given the proper attention. I'm not doing any justice, and when Karen does her presentation, you will see what I mean. So until her retirement in 2008, Karen was a full professor at the Department of Biological Sciences at the University of Quebec at Montreal. She co-founded the University Union Partnership, L'Invisible qui fait mal, to ensure women workers' needs are recognized in addressing occupational health and safety risks. She was the founder and is the current co-chair of the Gender and Work Technical Committee of the International Ergonomics Association, that's Karen's area of specialty. She also authored the World Health Organization's fact sheet and booklet on gender and occupational health. Since her retirement, she's continued to do research on applications of gender-sensitive analysis in occupational health and constraints and demands of work in the healthcare and service sectors. I'm particularly interested in the area of prolonged standing, which is fascinating. She's authored over 120 peer-reviewed articles and is author of One-Eyed Science, which I think is the title of her talk today, Occupational Health and Working Women. She's a YWCA Woman of Distinction, a pioneer researcher of the Association francophone sur les femmes en sciences techniques, informatiques et mathématiques, and has received the Prix Jacques Rousseau for interdisciplinary research from the Association francophone pour le savoir and the Governor General's Award in commemoration of the Persons Case. Wow. Karen Messing.